now accepting applications for driven and knowledgeable sports fans who want to start their very own podcast about their favorite team. Sports War Radio has an international audience and is growing fast. Don't miss the chance to become the go-to news source for your favorite team. Email sportswarradio@gmail.com and tell us why you would be a great addition to our team. Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Sports War Radio is now accepting applications for driven and knowledgeable sports fans who want to start their very own podcast about their favorite team. Sports War Radio has an international audience and is growing fast. Don't miss the chance to become the go-to news source for your favorite team. Email sportswarradio@gmail.com and tell us why you would be a great addition to our team. Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
Let's get back to the action. This is the Heel to the Face podcast on Sports War Radio.
Back here on the Heel to the Face podcast, it is time for the 3 count, 3 questions of the week. And as always, we start things off with our Twitter question of the week. We told our Twitter universe this week, obviously, Big Show last Monday night on Raw, not this week, but the week prior. He went out with injury after being thrown through a steel cage and falling to the floor thanks to the hands of Braun Strowman. And it has been announced that he is going to need some hip surgery. So, with Big Show's contract coming up at WrestleMania this upcoming year in New Orleans, and Big Show having made it very public that he does not plan to do anything more in WWE after April 2018. Do you think Big Show should be done? Obviously, he comes back from this hip surgery. He might have a few more matches. What is the earliest he could come back? Maybe January? So he'd essentially be coming back for one match. Should he come back for one match, or should he be done? We'll give the votes first. 60% say one more match. 40% say he should be done. Paul, we'll start with you. Big Show, is it worth getting this surgery and training again to come back in the ring? Or, the fact that he's retiring in April, should he just then retire early?
One more match. But in all seriousness, I think the worst thing to live with in life is with regret. And I think Big Show should come back for one more match. Who's that going to be? I hope it's not Shaquille O'Neal. I'd love to see them be able to set something up right. He gets a surgery, continues the rehab. Maybe he's ready by February, January, March, somewhere in that ballpark, right ahead of WrestleMania. I think you have enough time there to develop something, have some there in terms of creating a one last match scenario. I just don't want to see, Big Show in a retirement match, because obviously you know who would lose.
That would be so bad.
Yeah,
so
that would
stupid.
be. And I don't want to put anything past WWE creative. Sometimes they hit home runs, and sometimes they do that. So I would love not to see that. That would be phenomenal. So for me, I want to see one more match. I'd like them to do something creative, try to do something new there. But again, I don't want to see some goof. I don't want to see. I don't want to.
But
see
if that's Shaquille O'Neal, then really, who is Big Show? I mean, he's getting up there in age. I felt the Shaquille O'Neal thing had some legs last year, not just as a potential match to happen. I would have been more interested in Big Show versus Shaquille O'Neal than I ever was interested in Floyd Mayweather versus the Big Show, or Big Show versus Aki Bono in the sumo match. I was way more interested in somebody who seemed to be of equal stature to the Big Show, and more importantly, it had the hype. It wasn't just forced. It was a gimmick, but it was a gimmick that had some history.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I go one more match as well, but here's the thing. It's one more match carefully. You don't want to. You definitely should not go out the way he just did. But Braun Strowman just destroyed him. We don't want him to go out like that. I think we're all in agree on that. We're going to all agree on that. But if you can't have him come into it, his final match cannot be Shaquille O'Neal. I just think that's not doing Big Show justice. He's had a hell of a career. I think I don't even know who to throw out there at this point.
Now, here's a question. So WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year. Now, it's pretty rumored that whether Braun Strowman becomes a champion this week or not, or at No Mercy or not, it's probably going to be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. Do you want to, essentially, it's a long show and you got to have a lot of good matches. Do you want to waste Braun Strowman on Big Show?
No.
If he's a champion, hell no.
No. Yeah, no. Let's just say he's not champion. It's Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Braun Strowman can now feud with anybody.
Yeah, I would. I'd put him in. Look at the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair thing. You know what I mean? A superstar. A guy. I mean, yes, those guys are a little bit past their prime. Not a great example, but they are. They're superstar talents. And here's the thing. Obviously, you have Braun Strowman win. But you put on a hell of a show. Can Big Show put? That's what I'm saying. Can Big Show put on a hell of a show with Braun Strowman? I think he can.
Do you want? I can hear you screaming no on the other end. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't think he can. What I would be more intrigued by is, hey, bring somebody off the scrap heap, and not in a goofy sense like a Shaquille O'Neal. Maybe you bring a retired wrestler. Maybe that's a perfect time to bring somebody back and create a new feud and have kind of like a one-off, and I think that could be pretty cool. That would be a cool angle.
I don't think it's a good way to do it, Paul. I don't think it's a good way to do it. Why bring back somebody that's been way past their prime and he Big Show wins?
I got it.
Brandon,
against so-and-so.
Spoiler alert: Big Show's past his prime. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
but here's the thing. He's still a legend in the ring. He still is a WWE legend. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
You can grab a WWE legend off the scrap heap.
No.
I
got it.
And bring him in.
I got it for you.
What do you
Paul,
got?
You just brought it to my attention. You said bring somebody back. I'm thinking, who can we bring back?
What, Kevin Nash?
Obviously, no. Obviously, I was thinking The Rock or maybe Triple H, or somebody like that. And I said, no, don't even waste them because they're too good.
No, you don't.
Then I got it. Kane.
That's a perfect guy to bring back.
That's actually okay. I'll take Kane. That's the only guy I will take off of that little scrap heap. Kane, that's it.
And again, Kane just probably wants one more match as well.
And it works out for everybody.
Kane,
here's the key.
That's a good one.
And here's the key, guys, is that's the perfect scenario. Everyone will know that it's a one-off. We know that both of them are leaving, so that creates the intrigue in terms of who's going to win, who the hell knows.
Because it's a tribute for both.
Exactly.
And increase an intrigue in a match that we wouldn't be interested in because it's the last match for both of them. And essentially, they both need a WrestleMania match that people care about because neither of them have ever had a WrestleMania match. Big Show has had these little gimmick matches, but neither of them have really had, especially Kane. They've never been they've been on WrestleMania cards, but they've been on WrestleMania cards like Christian's been on WrestleMania cards. They've been on WrestleMania cards like Tommy Dreamer's been on WrestleMania cards. They haven't had that, you're excited about what they're going to participate in. So this could be something like, finally they get their WrestleMania moment.
I think that, that's Jarod matched. Yeah, I think it's a good call.
And it probably won't be a good match. It'll just be about the build, and it'll be about just seeing them in the ring one last time.
But you know what? That's the perfect. That's the only guy that out of Paul's scrap heap that I would even choose. That's it. Nobody else.
Here's the thing.
Nobody else.
I don't want to see Braun Strowman pick his teeth against Big Show because I think it would be an embarrassment. I think he'd throw him around. I don't think Big Show is capable of having a good match against that quality.
I think he could do one more. I think he could do a one-off. I really think he can.
I don't know. I think you're giving him too much credit. I love the Big Show. I've been a fan since I was a kid, but really he's past his prime. And
you just can't put him in a match with some. You can't put him in some jobber. That's just a disservice. Well,
that's
Big
what
Show.
I'm saying. And again, I'm not saying a jobber. I'm saying a guy like Kane. Kane's quality. You got the size.
Yeah,
that's
Kane's
intriguing.
Who else would you have in mind? Who else would you have in mind besides Kane?
I would hate to see them bring back Undertaker, so I would just say just a Kane would make the most sense.
If you're using Kane in that scenario, then I'm okay with it. Anyone else but Kane, like a Kevin Nash or something like that, because he's got the size, I just think, that's stupid, to be honest with you.
All right, moving on to question number 2. Now, NXT, obviously, everyone thinks that's the breeding ground for WWE, their essential minor leagues. So my question is, obviously, on Tuesday night, following SmackDown, the Mae Young Classic final took place. Kairi-san defeated Shayna Baszler in the championship. And we've seen the Cruiserweight Championships before. We've seen these UK Tournament Championships. And one thing they kind of all have in common, with the exception really of the Cruiserweights, but still, again, a few of the Cruiserweights, is that they seem to be the breeding ground for NXT. Kairi-san has been announced by WWE that she will be challenging for the NXT Women's Championship, which is currently vacant, at NXT TakeOver in Houston the night before Survivor Series in November. So my question is that what these tournaments are? Is that what, Paul, is that what you feel that they are? Brandon, is that what you think they are? If NXT's the AAA for WWE, are these tournaments, are these single A, for NXT? Are they the AAA for NXT? Is it an idea to, kind of get us behind these guys, give them a winning streak so we know who they are, maybe, and get intrigued about watching NXT?
I will say, Jarod, that I think the baseball reference, I know you're a baseball guy, I think the baseball reference is a bit of a stretch in terms of the single A, double A, but I do agree with the gist of the question, which is building up these guys through the ranks, and then we could start to develop a fan base similar to what these other guys did, from AJ Styles, Finn Balor, all these guys who kind of came up through the ranks. They had a following, so it wasn't just in the WWE. There was like this kind of like splash, a bucket of water, and people were like, who the hell is this guy? This is incredible. You can have kind of a build-up, and I think that's intriguing. So maybe from that single-A, double-A standpoint, I think it's phenomenal that you can build them up through this way and have tournaments like this. I think the Mae Young Classic was great. I think the bracketology was a bit much, to be honest, but I think I like the idea of the tournament. It was phenomenal. It brings new blood, new freshness to the division. And as a former mixed martial artist there with Shayna, I thought that was phenomenal. She put on a pretty good match.
But, you have Pete Dunne, who is the current UK champion. He came through the UK championship tournament, and essentially the UK championship, from all intents and purposes, is justified and being categorized as an NXT championship belt. He's being seen on NXT, and obviously, again, he came through because of, this tournament. They had him defend that championship, or win that championship at NXT TakeOver against Tyler Bate, who was the winner of the UK championship tournament originally. With the cruiserweights, we haven't seen too many cruiserweights. They have their own show, but like I said, the UK championship, these guys seem to go blend it over to NXT. Now we're going to see it with the women. I don't think this is probably the only woman that's going to be moving over from this tournament into NXT. The thing is, I don't see a lot of women that are coming from this tournament going over into WWE. And one more little nugget I think that's to be brought up is that we're talking about these people becoming names to NXT. I feel that this tournament was held a little bit to take already existing NXT women's names and give, because there was a bunch of women who were already in NXT who I had no idea anything about, who they hyped up with that bracketology and everything. So maybe it was to also sell them as well. Like, hey, these guys are already in NXT. So it's not just to sell new talent, but it's just to kind of sell a lot of these NXT guys that either are going to be coming to NXT or already in NXT.
I get the premise behind this question, but I my thing is that's what NXT is. It's the minor leagues for WWE. We don't need to water it down anymore where it's the minor leagues of NXT, because WWE, NXT is like the minor leagues for the big roster. Having a minor league system for, per se, for the NXT, I think it waters it down too much.
I mean, it's below NXT, though, because essentially if I could sell you a ticket for 8 matches, and the 8 matches were nothing but these people that were in these tournaments versus 8 matches that were NXT guys, you'd say, I don't know a lot of NXT guys, but I know 16 I know a few of the NXT guys out of those 16. I know none of the 16 out of this 16.
The only way it works for me is if you do something. I mean, and you got to be careful on this too. If they do these type of tournaments where, maybe they do like, maybe an NXT, not the Mae Young Classic, but another version of it, for the male competitors, maybe you bring in these different talents across the world, and maybe every year you have a tournament like this, and the winner gets a contract, something like that. That's the way I would do it.
Yeah, I feel these tournaments should be more like Tough Enough used to be.
I think that. I mean, in the same sort of premise where the winner gets the contract and gets a $250,000, whatever it might be. I think if you do it that way, yes. But I don't think you want to do this so much as like a single or double.
Because they don't really have. That's the thing. They're WWE branded, but essentially when we're watching them, other than a trophy, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. They don't really advertise to us why we would care if this person won this trophy.
It's good for all parties involved to do it. Kind of like, I would say, kind of almost like a Tough Enough, so to speak. Have this tournament. The winner takes all. Winner gets the money. Winner gets the contract. Just kind of like how we had that Tough Enough not too long ago. But you can't water it down too much. I think that's not a good idea. But it's a good thing where even if you lose the tournament and you don't get the contract. I mean, look at Patrick Clark, who's the Velveteen Dream now on NXT. He didn't win Tough Enough, but they saw enough in him in the show itself to say, you know what, we're going to offer you a contract.
That's what these tournaments are. These tournaments
are
essentially
it's a showcase.
It's Tough Enough.
But here's the other thing: you could do it in another sense where maybe they're coming from the other countries where maybe New Japan says, you know what, if WWE's not going to take a chance on this person, you know what, let me try him out, and guess what, that could build them where they could build a following,
like a mutual agreement, like being in this tournament is going to be beneficial for you, not just in a WWE standpoint.
It could be like a Ring of Honor. It could be what's the Lucha Underground. Stuff like that.
Global Force Wrestling.
Stuff like that. I mean, I think that's the premise behind it. I think it's a good concept, but I don't like it as a watered down version of NXT.
Final question of the week. We obviously remember the original tribute to the troops. Who could forget them sending superstars onto these cargo planes overseas to Iraq and Afghanistan, putting on these shows in front of the troops at the battlefields, essentially, in the middle of Iraq, in the middle of Afghanistan. It was amazing, not just for the troops, but it was a great television program for us to